Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. You're here with Learn with Lily, and today we're going to be talking about developing your critical thinking skills, something that is essential when it comes to academic success. So the first thing that you need to consider when it comes to critical thinking skills is the fact that criticality starts with curiosity. You don't just accept information as is. You don't just accept information at face value. You should always question it. Who is the author? What is their purpose? What evidence supports their claims? Asking these questions will help you dig much deeper and understand the material that you are reading better. And it will give you a framework to start with if you are starting off that process with asking lots and lots of questions. Then what you're going to do is you're going to break down bigger tasks and bigger bits of information into small manageable chunks. And you're going to analyze each component that comes with an argument in that piece of text. Look at the facts and then look at the opinions and look at the assumptions and the conclusions separately from one another. This helps you to see how everything fits together, how all of the pieces of the puzzle come together. And then you're going to identify any gaps that you may find whilst you're reading those specific sections, and also highlight areas of weaknesses that may be present in the bits of literature that you are reading. The third thing you're going to do is you're going to identify patterns and connections between ideas. What this will help you do is understand the bigger picture and how different concepts relate to one another. And whether you're studying a theory or reading a book or analyzing data, recognizing patterns is key to critical thinking, because what this will help you do is it will help you pick up the key terms, the key ideas and the key concepts, and look to see again where those gaps are and question why there are gaps linked to those key themes, those key terms and those key concepts. Once you've done those three things, asked your questions, you've broken down bits of information into small, more manageable chunks, and you've identified patterns, then you're going to start evaluating. So what are the techniques for evaluation? One of the things that is involved in evaluation is assess the credibility of the sources that you have. Consider the author's expertise. Are they a subject matter expert, or are they maybe newer to the field? Is the publication that you're reading reputable? Does it have a good reputation? Was there enough evidence provided in the article or the piece of literature that you read to back up the points that were being made by the author? This helps you determine the reliability, the validity of the information, and to avoid biases. Critical thinking means being discerning about where your information comes from. And then once you've been able to do that, you're going to compare and contrast. You're going to compare the different viewpoints of different pieces of literature. You're going to look at the contrasting themes. And what this involves you doing is looking at some of the similarities and the differences that have been presented in the ideas and the concepts. You're going to look at the differences between the ideas, the arguments, and the evidence that's been presented. And it helps you to understand multiple perspectives. You're not just seeing it through one blinkered view. You're going to be seeing a variety of viewpoints and perspectives, a bit like a buffet. You don't just want to go to a buffet and see one type of food. And this is going to allow you to have a bit more of a balanced view on the information that's been presented, or the idea or the theory that you're looking at. And it's especially useful when you're writing essays and research papers where you have to give contrasting viewpoints and comparing, different forms of literature or different types of research in one paper. So this idea is very useful, because then the next thing you're going to do once you've compared and contrasted is you're going to evaluate the evidence. You're going to evaluate the quality and the relevance of the evidence that has been presented. Consider whether the evidence is strong, whether it's sufficient, and whether it's directly related to the argument that's been presented. And more specifically, if it's a topic that, or a thesis that you've presented, how relevant is it to the topic that you're presenting? This will then help you to build a stronger argument and make better decisions based on the information that is readily available to you. Now, once you've done that, you've assessed the credibility, you've compared and contrasted different viewpoints and perspectives, and then you've evaluated the evidence. What you're going to need to do is to synthesize and conclude your critique of the information. And one way you're going to do that is you're going to integrate the information from different sources into the bit of literature that you're writing. Synthesis is not the same as summary. Synthesis is the integration and combining the ideas that you've discovered, that you've brought to the forefront, and integrating it and creating something new. You're then going to look for connections between different pieces of information, and then you're going to bring them together to form a coherent understanding or argument. And this is crucial when it comes to writing things like literature reviews and research papers, especially if you're trying to fill a gap in the research. There's no point in summarizing what you have found in other bits of literature without synthesizing that information to then present how your research is going to fill that gap. So this element is very important when it comes to literature reviews and research papers. And as a part of that synthesis, you're formulating your own opinions and your own ideas based on the analysis and evaluation that you have carried out. Critical thinking isn't just about understanding other people's ideas. It's also about a presentation of new, innovative, insightful ideas and your own perspectives. And what you're going to need to be able to do is to explain and justify why you have the viewpoints that you have. Being objective whilst you're presenting the facts, but also adding a little bit of subjectivity because you are giving your personal opinion, but being able to back up that opinion with evidence and logical reasoning from the formulation of your own ideas and the way you've presented it is very, very important. And that is what will be the difference between being descriptive and being critical and insightful in your work, because it shows then the next part that you are applying the knowledge. So application of your knowledge to new situations is where you are going to use what you've learnt to solve a problem. So if you are trying to fill a gap in research, how are you going to use your knowledge and apply your knowledge to solve a specific problem? Making decisions and creating new ideas all comes a party to that application of the knowledge that you've learned. This shows that you can think critically, but also adapt your skills in different contexts. And that is one of the more valuable qualities and skills to have, both in academic settings, but also in real world settings. One of the things that I noticed about students that I've worked with and people that I coach is the transferable skills between academia and real life corporate or workplace situations, and the ability to be able to problem solve because of your critical thinking skills is a very valuable asset when it comes to transitioning into the workplace. So learning how to be critical early on, but then also how that can feed into problem solving and innovative ideas in the workplace is very important. And at the end of this process, what you're then going to do is you're going to reflect on your own thinking. Consider what strategies worked well and where you can make improvements, because with everything there's always going to be an area for improvement. Even if it's perfecting something that you're already quite good at, there's going to be areas for development. Reflective practice is what is going to help you become a better critical thinker over time. It is a skill that needs to be upkept. And as usual, it's about continuous improvement, continuous professional academic development, and learning from your experiences. If you are focused on developing your critical thinking skills and implementing these techniques, this is what will help you be successful in your academic career, as well as transitioning into your life, your career. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you know when new videos come out. And as I always say, the academic journey can be stressful at times, but remember, you are doing an amazing job. Happy writing, and I'll see you in the next video.